morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day today. Today, we're going to be taking a look at my favorite rifle, no ifs, ands, or buts. This is the LWRC ICDI. But before we get into the video, if you want to help me out, you can, of course, like, share, and subscribe, as that is free and does help me out quite a bit. On top of that, as of right now, I'm filming this on a Tuesday, but it's probably not going up till Saturday as usual, but Washington State has probably shut down Focus Shooting LLC because they will no longer allow me to purchase even individual parts for ARs. Now, that is completely insane, but as of right now, that is what it is. Now, if you want to support the channel monetarily, the absolute best way to do that is actually through Aura. If you don't know, they're basically just a VPN all-in-one service. There is a link in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Just by signing up for a 2-week free trial, it is insanely supportive of the channel. Cancel it 1 minute later, cancel it 2 weeks later. Doesn't matter to me. They have way more money than sense, and for that, we appreciate them. Now, with all of that out of the way, full disclosure on the LWRC ICDI, I don't have any relationship with LWRC whatsoever. This is the only upper of theirs that I've ever shot, seen, or tested in any way, shape, or form. I didn't pay for the upper. The way that I came about this gun was actually in a trade. A gentleman reached out to me, and he wanted one of my 14.7 NSR Pros. He wanted a lightweight upper with a few little things changed about it. And he said, hey, I have this LWRC upper laying around. Would you like it in a straight up trade? And I said, yes. So I acquired the 16-inch LWRC ICDI, and he got one of my 14.7 NSR Pros in just a straight trade. So I didn't pay for this, but I don't have any relationship with the company or anything like that. Now, getting into the highlight reel of specifications on the ICDI, this is, of course, the individual carbine direct impingement. LWRC is maybe a little bit more famous for their piston guns, which are a little bit more expensive. The direct impingement guns are a little bit cheaper. Still expensive, but a little bit cheaper, and what I'm going to assert later on is going to be a fantastic value. Now, starting out with the 16.1-inch cold hammer forged Nicor treated barrel. It is also spiral fluted as well, as you guys can probably tell through some of the B-roll that I'm rolling in here. Absolutely fantastic machining going on. The spiral flutes are effective. They increase the surface area, make it cool down a little bit faster. Mostly what they do is allow you to start with a heavy barrel and then whittle it down to about a medium profile barrel. Now, the cold hammer forge is probably the best barrel making process, and Nicor treatment is one of the best treatments you can put on anything. And in fact, basically everything that touches gases on this gun is Nicor treated. Now, moving back to the gas block, you have a factory pinned gas block with, that is, of course, Nicor treated. I believe it's 4140 steel, so the same steel that the barrel is made out of. The gas tube itself is also finished in a black Nicor finish, so you have a barrel, gas block, and gas tube all with the exact same extremely hard, extremely durable, heat-resistant Nicor finish. Now, the barrel itself is a 16.1-inch mid-length gas, perfectly fine, no issues there. It is a 1-in-7 right-hand twist with a 1/2x28 threads at the end. All very standard there. One thing that I have heard is that when we get into a little bit later on is that the barrels are not exactly interchangeable. So if you have an AR-15 standard barrel that you want to put in this for some reason, if you did want to swap out the excellent barrel, which we'll get into in just a minute, you would have to send it into LWRC for them to replace and modify the barrel to fit in one of their uppers. However, because of the qualities of the barrel, which we'll get into in just a minute, you're probably never going to do that. Now, moving back to the Handguard, they do have a couple different versions of this. So this is the M-Lock version. They also have a proprietary version that has their own setup. Basically, it has, I believe, Picatinny that then screws directly into the Handguard itself, which is a very secure way to mount things, especially with Rockset or Loctite or anything like that. With this version, the M-Lock version, I do have one Picatinny section mounted in here for the M-Lock for the Streamlight ProTac 2, I believe is what this light is. And other than that, it's perfectly fine. If you find a great deal on the proprietary version, I would still go for it. Just know that you're going to be using Picatinny, though I'm already using Picatinny on the M-Lock version, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. Now, this is the 11.4-inch version, I want to say, but because the upper receiver is extended up front, which we'll talk about in just a minute, this actually acts like a 12.6-inch rail, which is still not super long, so depending on your preferences for aesthetics, it might be a little bit short. For me, I might end up chopping down the barrel to like 14.5 and then pinning on the YHM flash hider at some point in the future just to make it a little bit more handy. For right now, it's perfectly fine. The 16-inch barrel, which we'll get into a little bit later on, has fantastic accuracy and ballistics and so on and so forth. Now, moving into the lockup on the Handguard, this is going to be a very interesting area. So there is actually a upper receiver extension underneath the handguard itself that the handguard bolts into. The handguard does not touch the barrel in any way, shape, or form. This is a truly free-floated system. Now, AR-15s are mostly free-floated, at least with a free-float handguard, because they are usually screwed on, bolted to the barrel nut, which touches the barrel. So if you put a lot of weight at the end of your handguard, or you're like bracing it up against something, there could be some minor deflection and some variance in harmonics, which can reduce your accuracy. However, with this system, it is truly 100% free-floated because the handguard does not touch the barrel nut whatsoever. Now, with that system, you also have 10 tapered steel bolts that go from your handguard into your upper receiver extension, so that handguard is never going to move. I believe currently I have them all with blue Loctite and set to 25 inch-pounds, so this handguard setup, rail setup, is absolutely perfect for laser aiming modules or anything that you absolutely need to maintain zero. It will absolutely do that. The handguard is absolutely rock solid. Now, it also has QDs here for your slings. I was running the Grove Tech Saber sling, which is currently probably my favorite sling overall. The Sentinel is also really good as well, but a very good sling setup, and I use theirs. They are very nicely reinforced and anti-rotation, so they hit all of the things that people like about them. Last thing to talk about this rail is this one here does have the lightning cuts on top through the Picatinny rail section, so it is going to be a little bit lighter. It is going to vent a little bit more heat. Not that big of a difference, but it's going to save you maybe like 1 or 2 ounces at most. Now, speaking about weight, the entire rifle naked from LWRC comes in at 6.6 pounds, which is very good. It is certainly not a lightweight pencil barrel upper with, titanium, everything, so on and so forth, but it is also not particularly heavy. Currently, as you see it, it's around 9 pounds because I have basically the heaviest red dot possible on a riser, plus a large magnifier, plus probably one of the biggest lights on the market. So again, you could definitely shave a lot of weight off of this setup, but currently I like the way that it shoots because it basically has no recoil. Moving back into the next area that LWRC has done some very interesting things with, this is going to be their forged upper receiver. This is a 7075 T6 aluminum forged upper receiver. However, it is in no way, shape, or form mil spec. It is about an inch longer than your standard forged upper receiver. It also completely removes the weak point at the front of the standard AR-15 lower receiver. Basically, if you ever see a catastrophic failure on an AR-15 or mil-spec AR-15, it's going to be right here where the threads of the upper receiver extension meet with the actual body itself. That's a very weak point. If you ever have a detonation, it's going to basically blow out that side because that is the weakest point on an AR-15 upper receiver. That is absolutely not the case on the LWRC IC-DI with their extended upper receiver. So not only is it a little bit of a stronger design, it also allows you to mount the handguard directly to the upper receiver, and then the barrel nut is actually nestled all the way down in here. So again, it does not touch the handguard whatsoever. Other than that, the rest of the upper receiver is fairly standard. One thing that is somewhat nice about it is you do have an extra 3 slots of Picatinny up front. So it is a little bit longer, again, than your standard forged upper receiver. So if for whatever reason you need to mount stuff further forward, you do not need to bridge the gap between your upper receiver and your handguard because, of course, you have an extra 3 or 4 slots of Picatinny. Now, on this one, because the handguard is so rock solid, I wouldn't really have a problem with doing that anyways, but you don't need to, again, because you have an extra 3 or 4 slots. Now, your dust cover, shell deflector, and forward assist have slightly changed geometries. However, they are very standard. They're not mil-spec in look or appearance, but they're very mil-spec in terms of actual function. So no real issue there as far as that goes. The charging handle that they include is a big ambidextrous charging handle, very beefy, very strong, large steel pins holding the wings in place. It is, of course, ambidextrous, which is very, very nice. No issues grabbing onto it, gloves, wet, soaking wet, whatnot. Very easy to actuate should you ever need to. You're probably never really going to need to do that except for the first round of your range day. Now, the last thing that we need to talk about on their upper receiver is going to be the BCG. Now, this BCG that I got with the upper is not the LWRC keyless BCG, but I'll go ahead and tell you what you would get if you were to actually buy an LWRC upper or the complete rifle. So basically, if you were to buy one of theirs, it's going to come with what they call their keyless BCG, which means that the key itself that is normally staked with grade 8 fasteners made out of 4130, so on and so forth. One of the weak points on an AR-15, I have had 2 of them fail in the entire time that I've been shooting AR, so it's not necessarily a high failure rate, but it is a potential failure point. On the LWRC BCGs, that is one piece with the body. So they actually machine it out of a larger chunk of 8620, meaning that that key will absolutely never move or fail on you whatsoever. The rest of the BCG is very standard, very high quality, good coatings, good material selection, all of that sort of good stuff that you would expect from a high quality upper receiver. The BCG that I have in here currently is a very nice mil-spec BCG. It is a phosphate chrome, I want to say. However, I am cheating with this BCG, and we'll get into that in just a minute. There is one problem with this upper receiver, and that is the fact that it is overgassed. Now, as it ships from the factory, it ships with an H2 buffer. Currently, I am running it with an H3 buffer in the back and a just standard carbine spring. The reason for that is unsuppressed with the standard everything that it comes with. It will eject high quality brass ammunition at about 2 o'clock with an H3 buffer. So whether you want to call that combat gassed or overgassed, I'm just going to call it overgassed because it is using more gas than it absolutely needs to run the system, even to run it extremely reliably. So it is, again, a little bit overgassed, and they know that. They're tuning it that way from the factory, which is why they're shipping it with an H2 buffer. So it is not necessarily the softest shooting upper receiver on the market. However, you guys who watched the intro and noticed that it was shooting at 3 o'clock suppressed with full power M193 are going to say, what are you doing? Well, I am cheating, and that is because I actually used a Rubber City Armory adjustable gas key on this fairly mil-spec BCG. Now, what that means is Rubber City Armory, their gas key is a very high-quality gas key, grade 8 fasteners. I personally staked this one myself. All good there, but it has a little screw in the back. It actually has 2 screws, a short one and a long one, to adjust the amount of gas flow at the key itself. Now, that for me allows me to tune it down to run where I personally like it to be. I did shoot it for about 2,000 rounds with just a standard gas key, so full power. It was ejecting again about 2 o'clock with an H3 buffer. Perfectly fine. However, I knew that it was going to be suppressed, and as I finally got my 2 cans in, I know that it's going to basically be suppressed for the rest of its life. Now, I don't want to switch out the gas block because it is a very nice factory pinned gas block. No issues with that whatsoever. I don't really want to change out the gas tube either because I could switch out the gas tube to one of those Black Rifle, Black River Tactical, the BRT tubes that I've used in the past on other guns, which would again alleviate the issue, but I don't really want to switch out their high quality gas tube either. Now, because this BCG is not their super nice keyless BCG, I actually went ahead and threw in one of the Rubber City Armory gas keys, which I think I picked up for like 40 bucks. Now, funnily enough, the Rubber City Armory adjustable gas keys are actually used in my NSR Pro Uppers, which is what I traded to get this one, which ended up with, again, an Rubber City Armory adjustable gas key. And I probably have, I don't know, 20, 30 of those out in the wild, plus a couple thousand rounds of my own experience on them. And so far, 0 issues whatsoever. Now, that is absolutely cheating. So currently, with this upper receiver, which is overgassed. Again, the gas port size on the barrel, if I had to guess, is probably like 0.080, 0.081, when it should probably be like a 0.076, or even all the way down to like a 0.072 if it wants to be extra smooth. Now, currently, with the adjustable gas key, the way it is set up, with full power ammo, it will eject about 2:30 to 3 o'clock when suppressed, and about 3:30 when unsuppressed, and that for me is perfectly fine. And in combination with throwing a bunch of stuff on it and making it a pretty heavy gun, it absolutely has no recoil whatsoever. Now, to get reliability out of the way, reliability was 100% through 2,500 rounds, absolutely 0 issues in any way, shape, or form, and I have only cleaned it once. And again, that is rain, snow, mud, suppressed, and unsuppressed with only 1 cleaning. Now, some of that has to do with the fact that the gun is a little bit overgassed, and proponents of having guns a little bit overgassed are going to say, hey, it is going to go for a lot longer without needing to be cleaned because you have a lot of reliability headroom. And people that like to shoot quickly and not have to think about recoil all that much are going to say, well, it is overgassed, and I'd maybe like to clean it a little bit more often and pay a little bit more attention to it and have it shoot softer. With the Rubber City Armory adjustable gas key, I kind of have it somewhere in the middle there where it is still very soft shooting, suppressed, and unsuppressed. I could probably even tune it back a little bit more if I wanted to, but I do like to have some reliability headroom. As far as reliability goes, again, it has been absolutely flawless, 100% through about 2,500 rounds. Again, variety of circumstances. absolutely no issues. Now, when we talk about accuracy, it's also pretty fantastic. Coming darn near 1 MOA with just about every match ammunition that I put through it, and about 2.5 MOA with every ball round that I put through it, which for me is very, very good. 2 MOA with ball is very good. 1 MOA with match ammunition is also extremely good. This is the upper receiver that I did a lot of the testing on that Vector 3-24 Continental with the German glass. And that one there, I took out I want to say 600-700 yards with this upper receiver with HSM 77 grain. And I had absolutely no issues with it. This rifle, 16-inch rifle, will do absolutely anything that a 16-inch 5.56 can do, and do it to a very, very high level. Now, before we talk about value, I should at least mention their own lower, because again, I just got the upper. I don't have their lower receiver. But if you buy one of their complete rifles, you are going to get a very, very nice, completely ambidextrous lower receiver that also has your bolt release and bolt stop, or bolt catch, whatever you want to call it, on the lower receiver itself, which helps a lot with one-handed manipulations. It is a very, very nice lower receiver. Again, comes with their H2 buffer as standard, which is probably what I would recommend, or an H3, or doing something to kind of mitigate a little bit of that gas if you care. Now, getting into the value proposition, I have seen these complete rifles as low as $1,300. And for $1,300, they are an absolute steal. That is cheaper than Geisley, cheaper than Radian, way cheaper than Radian, way cheaper than CAC, LMT, so on and so forth. And the feature set, the true improvements on the AR-15 platform, in my opinion, are absolutely worth it. Phenomenally reliable, very, very accurate, a lot of really cool duty-grade feature sets. If you're buying their complete gun, you're going to get a fantastic lower, a fantastic BCG. The handguard is set up very, very well. If I didn't mention it, they do sell additional lengths of handguards. If you're like, oh, that handguard's too short for me, they do make longer handguards as well if you need it. So when it comes to value, if you find a good deal on them, anywhere from $1,300 to $1,500, I think that is an absolute steal. Is that cheap? No. But when we compare it to other high-end brands, I don't think your dollar goes as far as it does with the LWRC ICDI. Now, they also sell it in different lengths. I want to say they have your standard like 12.7. I think it's a really weird length. 12.7, 10.3, probably a 14.5 as well. And then this, of course, is the 16-inch version, which I kind of would like to cut down to like a 14.5 or a 13.9 or something cool like that. Now, again, as far as value goes, performance goes, I think it is very, very good. This is actually on my no-sell list, so I will continue to have this upper receiver around forever, as well as the SIG Romeo 8T. That's why you see them a lot in videos, is because they're something that I will never sell and will keep around basically forever. Now, because I know I'm going to get some questions about it, we should probably talk about the setup. Starting out with the optics, we of course have the SIG Romeo 8T, which is fantastic and a tank. I've done terrible things to this optic, and it is still going. Has all the features you could ever possibly want with some of the best glass, battery life, etc., durability, so on and so forth that you can get with a red dot. It's very heavy and it costs $600 to $700. Now, behind that, you have a $150 Holosun HM3X magnifier, which is one of the best magnifiers on the market. The mount might be a little bit wobbly, but it has decent eye relief, very good field of view. It's very usable, not too heavy. There are other magnifiers that I've used. I've used the Vortex 3X, 3X Micro. I've used some 5X magnifiers as well. And for the most part, I still go back to the Holosun HM3X. It is very cheap, but it works well enough for me. Now, moving forward from there, I am using a Somo Gear PEC 15, which broke on the second drop. I wasn't dropping it directly on the optic. It just happened to take a little bit of the impact, and it broke because it is a cheap piece of Chinese plastic. However, it is a full power laser and illuminator, which does help me record some of the GoPro footage. I actually use the full power laser on here to record some of the GoPro, so that I'm not actually sitting back here trying to aim through a GoPro. I actually just use the laser itself. Now, talking about that, we also have the Streamlight ProTac 2.0 rail mount, which is a very big light, 2,000 lumens, only about 20,000 candela. So it is basically a wall of light inside of 100 yards. Realistically, I don't think I'm taking shots beyond 100 yards in the dark, but again, if you need more candela, there are different lights out there that do a better job of it. Other than that, pretty fantastic value. Comes with a dual tape switch, or a dual tail cap, so you have the push tail cap, and then you also have the lead that goes to their pressure pad. So the pressure pad currently, the front switch is for the light, the back switch is for the laser, which is currently on and blinding me. Now, you might notice that I have the Grove Tech angled foregrip, one of their aluminum hand stops, really. I have it mounted in front of the tape switch, and that is to keep my doofus hands off of the tape switch, so I'm not accidentally actuating when I don't mean to. So that means when I actually want to actuate it, it is a very conscious physical movement of it. And if I'm going to be using the laser, I actually have to move my hand behind the pad. So again, it is very conscious so that I'm not accidentally turning it on and off when I don't mean to, which is a problem that I have. Other than that, on the rail itself, we have, I believe these are just Strike Industries rail pads. They came with the rail. They're perfectly fine. I don't need them. I don't hate them. I kind of like them in some ways, but they're not necessarily the best, but they work just fine, so I haven't taken them off. One thing that I am doing with the tape switch is the tape switch does have this band around it, which holds it very nicely in place. This is actually from Strike Industries. And then I'm also using the clips provided from Streamlight that actually come with the tape switch. And that helps to keep the cables down and keep it really secure. The tape switch does not move whatsoever. That is one of the problems I have with the Streamlight little retainers, basically, is the tape switch can move a little bit forward, back, left, and right. But with the Strike Industries band on there, it absolutely does not move whatsoever. The lower that I'm running this on, this is a Anderson lower receiver, a standard poverty pony. I am running a Geisley G2S trigger, H3 buffer in the back, carbine spring. I believe this is the UTG Pro S2 stock. I don't remember why I have it on here. I think I picked it up for like 20 bucks just to check it out, and it works perfectly fine. Other than that, that's about it. Oh, I should mention, muzzle device is the YHM flash hider for YHM cans. So I have the Turbo K, and most of the time that I was shooting it was with the Resonator K. This is their 30 caliber can. The Turbo K is their 5.56 can. Basically the same size, but you do get less back pressure on the 30 caliber can versus the 5.56 can. But that's about it for the setup. Now, again, fantastic rifle. Really enjoy shooting it. I am sad to actually finish the review on it because that means I'm actually going to end up shooting it less because I have to move on to film other things because unfortunately most of my ammo has to get filmed. So with all that out of the way, guys, I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think of the LWRC ICDI in the comments down below. And with all of that out of the way, thank you once again for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.